This week's episode of the P&J Formula One Chat is brought to you by our sponsors at Mackay Base Hospital. Mackay Base Hospital, the place I like to go when I like to get away from all the problems of the world. Welcome to this week's race's episode of the P&J F1 Chat. This is episode 18, which is the Istanbul Formula One race from Turkey. I am your host, Phil Lamington, and beside me is a man who vehemently disagrees with doors. JB, how are you, JB?
I've been better. The pain meds are still kicking in.
Oh, that's a good sign.
Yeah, it's been an eventful day, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just leave it at that.
You hurt your hand and I had a tooth pulled yesterday, so we're both fairly broken.
Floating on endorphins and painkillers.
And I haven't slept.
Oh, I'm sure I'm going to sleep real well tonight.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to sleep well tonight.
Oh, well, that makes one
and
of
I've
us.
still got to go back to the base hospital tonight.
I'll be back there in a few days. Anyway, we've got a race to talk about.
Yeah, let's talk about something more important than base hospital bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got the Turkish Formula One race. Every time I say the word Turkish, I immediately think of Jason Statham from Snatch, because his name was Turkish.
I just think of Turkish Delight.
That
like
too.
That jelly stuff in the middle. Oh, it's delicious.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
So good. So many people hate it, eh?
Yeah, but they're
You
fuckheads.
weirdos, more for us.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Anyway.
Neckbeard idiots. Get out of your mum's basement.
We're not dropping the IWC here.
So, this race had the potential to be awesome.
But it wasn't.
And, the thing about it was, last year, it was the best race on the calendar last year.
Yes.
Because it just urinated down rain like it was going out of fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, qualifying was chaos,
Yep.
and then the race was utter chaos.
Yeah, well, qualifying, wasn't it? Lance Stroll was on pole and Perez was second. Like,
Yep.
Racing Point out of nowhere, doing like a McLaren at Monza, just putting it on pole. But the track had only just been resurfaced, so it was like an ice rink.
Yeah.
And that was the difference between last year's race and this year's race. Last year's race, it rained. This year's race, it drizzled.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, this year's race, unfortunately, it was too dry for the intermediates to like fully take effect. It was too dry for like proper wet weather racing, like exhilarating wet weather racing where your drivers would take a chance and do this, but it was too wet to promote much overtaking either off the dry line. So
Particularly
it was,
as Sebastian Vettel found out, because he slapped on the mediums and did a lap, if you want to call it that, before he came back in and said, yeah, no, stick more inters on. But he admitted that was his call, so it wasn't the team's call, that was his call.
yeah, we'll get to that in a sec. I've got the play-by-play if you want to run through it.
Well, we'll go through the race
yes.
classification first.
Yep.
JB's trying to screw up the format again. Not that we've got a written down format or anything.
I'm still in the happy gas, I think. Still getting it out of the system.
Just keep going with the whistle. Just focus on the whistle. So at the end of 58 laps, Valtteri Bottas of Mercedes got the win. Second place was Max Verstappen for Red Bull Racing with that really amazing livery
How
they ran.
good was that livery?
That was so fantastic.
That was brilliant.
Third place was Sergio Perez at Red Bull Racing. What
Yes.
a good drive he did.
Yes,
too.
he's back. He's back tail gunning where he should be. And he held up Lewis for a little bit, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Like he was back to his tail gunning best, which was good.
Yeah. In fourth place was Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari. He had a really good race.
Yeah, he had
too.
a good weekend.
Fifth was Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes. He did not have a very good weekend.
He did not have a good weekend at all. But you know what? If the worst he's going to come out of a weekend is fifth, how much can he complain? I mean, and it should have been third. But we'll get to that, obviously.
Yeah. Sixth place was Pierre Gasly in the AlphaTauri.
A strong result.
Yeah. Lando Norris was seventh in the McLaren.
Yeah, that was the best that car was going to manage this weekend. It doesn't like medium speed corners, apparently.
Yeah. Carlos Sainz was 8th in the other Ferrari. He got driver of the day.
Yeah. Remember, he started from the back of the grid.
Yeah. He deserved driver of the day. Like
he
put
drove
it on.
the wheels, and in the conditions that it was, where
Yeah.
people weren't overtaking much, he fucking put some moves on. He, definitely deserved driver of the day.
Lance Stroll in 9th for Aston Martin. 10th was Ocon in Alpine, having not pitted for tyres
good on
at
him.
all.
He did a Hamilton from last year. He just didn't stop. There's a photo of his tyres as well. I think I shared it with you. And they're down to the canvas.
Well, the guy from Pirelli, I can't remember his name, but Mario, I don't know, Mario or Luigi Mario, whatever his name is, he actually said that Ocon was about 1 or 2 laps off his tyres exploding.
Yeah, it was a ballsy drive, but it got him a world championship point, so good on him.
Yeah. 11th was Antonio Giovinazzi from Alfa Romeo, who spent a lot of the race holding up his teammate Kimi Raikkonen, who came 12th.
Kimi Raikkonen and his water bottle having disagreements again.
Yeah, he was quite livid about it.
Mm-hmm.
He's like,
it's happened like 3 or 4 times this year. Like, it's beyond a joke.
He actually said, like, it's the simplest part of the car, yet we can't fucking make it work.
Exactly.
You know? 13th was Daniel Ricciardo in the McLaren. Ricciardo is really, when he's good, but he is inconsistent this year.
He was struggling with rear braking issues, apparently. He just couldn't get the balance of the car right all weekend. And he said when he whacked on the second set of intermediates, and he was the first one to stop, one of the first ones to stop. He was early in the race to get him out of the traffic because he was 16th at the time. And he reckons he got 4 good laps out of the tyres, and they were gone. They were dead.
Yeah.
He was a sunk ship from the start. And remembering he started from the back too.
Yeah.
With a power unit change, complete power unit change.
Yuki Tsunoda came 14th for AlphaTauri. 15th was George Russell for Williams. 16th was Alonso in the Alpine. 17th was Nicholas Latifi in the Williams. 18th was Sebastian Vettel in the Aston Martin. He had an abysmal race.
He didn't have a good day at the office at all.
19th was Mick Schumacher in the Haas. Who,
after qualifying, 14th?
Yeah, he had a really good qualifying.
He got bumped by Alonso at the second lap or something,
Yeah, Alonso did go and apologise to him, gave him a big hug after the race.
I don't know if you would have expected much more than 19th, but it was sort of cruel the way it was taken away from him.
And Mazepin brought up the rear in 20th in the other Haas.
Yeah, we're not super surprised by that.
No.
Right, the play-by-play, ladies and gentlemen. Lewis Hamilton started 11th, taking his 4th internal combustion engine of the season. Carlos Sainz started from 19th with his upgraded engines. And Daniel Ricciardo started dead last with his 4th complete power unit change as we went through. Lap 1, Valtteri Bottas started on pole from Max Verstappen with the rain falling. Fernando Alonso spun around the outside of turn 1. He spun. Pierre Gasly bumped him. Nicholas Latifi spun as well. Lewis Hamilton had passed Sebastian Vettel at the end of the lap, which shows how high Vettel was initially.
Yeah.
Lap 2, Mick Schumacher spins as he's hit by Fernando Alonso. Bottas pulls out a 1.5 second lead on Verstappen. Lap 8, Hamilton passes Yuki Tsunoda around the outside of turn 4. Carlos Sainz has climbed to 12th from almost the back of the grid. As he finds pace in the Ferrari, Pierre Gasly was handed a 5-second time penalty, which was fucking harsh, I'll be honest. That was really harsh. Compared to what Alonso did to Schumacher, that was really harsh for a 5-second penalty.
Well, Michael Masi explained after the race that they looked at it and they went that Gasly was not being squeezed. Like, he had space on either side, so...
I don't agree with that. I think Perez was coming out at him. I think he was being cautious.
Yeah.
But, okay. So, anyway, he got handed a 5-second time penalty for his turn 1 contact with Fernando Alonso. Lap 9, Fernando Alonso was handed a 5-second time penalty for his contact with Mick Schumacher, which was much more justifiable. Lap 11, Lewis Hamilton blasts past Lando Norris and sets the fastest lap of the race, so he had pace. Lap 14, Carlos Sainz passes Sebastian Vettel, gives him a bump on the way past into the chicane. He actually went and apologised to Seb after that move after the race, but on the onboard, Carlos actually got twitchy on the throttle and accidentally hit him, but no damage was done, so I don't think it warranted an apology, but good for Carlos Sainz to keep his gentlemanly repertoire going. Hamilton blasts past Pierre Gasly for 5th spot as he becomes the fastest car on the track at that stage. Lap 23, Daniel Ricciardo pits for fresh intermediate tyres as his struggles with the rear brake locking continued. Meanwhile, Yuki Tsunoda spun at turn 9. Lap 29, Nikita Mazepin closes the door on Lewis Hamilton when he tried to lap him, almost resulting in contact on the sweeper down the back straight. That was pretty out of order, I'll be honest. Lap 32, Fernando Alonso pits for intermediate tyres. Lap 34 to 35, Sergio Perez, and this was his tail gunning, held off Lewis Hamilton for the final sector of the track and down into turn 1. So pretty much from the back straight, through the chicane, the final corner, down the front straight, and then into turn 1. He was side by side with Lewis Hamilton the whole way. They didn't touch. It was great racing, and he eventually held him off, which was a good feather in his cap. Lap 38, Max Verstappen pits for new enters. Carlos Sainz had a slow stop, which saw Lando Norris jump him. And Sebastian Vettel takes the ballsy gamble of putting medium tyres on and properly goes off the track multiple times, boxing for enters at the end of his disaster lap. Lap 41, Charles Leclerc leads the race and decides to go to the end of the race without stopping, like Lewis did last year. Lap 44, Max Verstappen complains that his steering wheel was going left-hand down. I don't know if they ever fixed that. Lap 47, Valtteri Bottas retakes the lead of the Turkish Grand Prix as he gets past Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc finally cedes and does pit for new intermediates despite wanting to go to the end. Lap 51, Lewis Hamilton questionably pits for new inters and drops to 5th place, his team figuring he is in a lose-lose situation with the cars behind him set to catch him anyway. Lewis is furious on the call. Lap 52, Sergio Perez jumps Charles Leclerc into 3rd. Lap 55, Lewis Hamilton's tyres grain badly and he's unable to gain any time on the cars in front, with Gasly and Norris on his tail. Lap 57, Valtteri Bottas sets the fastest lap of the race. Daniel Ricciardo drops behind Raikkonen and loses a bunch of time on the final lap. I don't know what happened, but something happened to Ricciardo on the final lap and he just dropped like a rock. I don't know if it was his tyres or what. But ultimately, lap 58, Valtteri Bottas wins the Turkish Grand Prix from Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez. Carlos Sainz gets driver of the day. Esteban Ocon's gamble to not pit at all gains him 1 World Championship point with a 10th place finish.
Well, when it comes to Ocon, his tyres were so gone that he was dropping something ridiculous in the last few laps. Like it was like 20 seconds a lap or something.
Yeah.
And so that sort of pertains to Lewis Hamilton. Apparently, Mercedes had actually asked Lewis to box about 3 or 4 laps before he actually did, and he was adamant, no, I'm not pitting, rah rah rah, and he thought the call was stupid. My way of seeing it is, if Hamilton had trusted his team,
if Hamilton had, because there was an initial call that he ignored.
Yep.
And then he pitted, which undid him, because if he had pitted on lap, I think it was like lap 48 or something, he would have actually got through the graining phase of the tyre, found the grip, and probably had the pace to challenge for the podium from that point.
Yeah.
But because he ignored the initial call and pitted later, he had to wait, and this was the struggle that every driver faced, was because it's an intermediate tyre, it's got to go through the block of rubber to get proper heat in the tyre, to get the performance of, because it's not a wet track, it's not quite a dry track either. So they have to actually grain through the rubber and lose grip and be basically driving on marbles until the rubber smooths itself out enough to a point where it becomes a slick intermediate, as the nickname has been given, to get temperature and heat and performance in the tyres again, which undid Lewis, it undid Ricciardo, it undid Vettel, obviously. A lot of drivers got caught out by it today, but Valtteri didn't, the 2 Red Bulls didn't, and the 2 Ferraris didn't. So
Yeah.
it was a toss of the coin, but yeah, a lot of interesting stuff. I mean, the race itself was boring, but it's just cool to see, because we've never really known what potential the intermediate tyres have.
Yeah.
Like, you've never seen an intermediate tyre go to the end of a race, or you've never seen it outside of like proper treacherous conditions.
Yeah.
So I think, and it's 2 Turkish Grand Prix in a row where it's happened,
Yeah.
where it's like, well, how far can this tyre actually go? It goes from a partially wet tyre to a slick, and you can keep driving on it. And as Esteban Ocon showed, you can get 58 laps of Istanbul Park out of it, which is mind-blowing almost.
Even though, like, as Mario...
I mean, 59 laps out of it, and you would have been in the wall, in the
Yeah.
Shadow Realm, but
yeah.
yeah.
That's the thing. Like, Hamilton was going off with his team saying, we should have done it, and blah, 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 blah.
The same team that got him the win in Sochi 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You know, the same strategy call that won him the race in Sochi. The same team that made that call.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and Lewis came out on Instagram yesterday, and he said, "Look, we win as a team, we lose as a team." There's reports out there saying I'm angry at the team. I was disappointed at the time, but you know, these are the same guys that have made all these great strategy calls all year, and put me in the position to fight for the championship. So
Yeah. I mean, if he had stayed out there, he might not have walked away 5th. He might have, you know...
if he stayed out, I think the team said it. It's like, because Norris and Gasly were on his tail anyway. And it's like, if you stayed out there, you're going to finish 5th anyway. Toto Wolff said it post-race, actually. He's like, we believed he was a lose-lose situation. He was doomed to finish 5th no matter what happened. So, yeah, anyone thinking that Lewis is totally freaking out, he's only, 6 points behind in the championship?
Yeah.
He ain't sweating. He ain't sweating yet.
All right. So that's the race result. Now we get to the fun stuff, the pit lane questions and the news stuff. So I do have a slightly large question, but I'm going to ask that one second. So the rumor coming out in F1 is that Michael Andretti and Andretti Motorsport are planning on buying out Sauber F1. Sauber currently races as Alfa Romeo.
Yes.
I like Sauber, the Team Sauber. I've always liked Team Sauber.
Yep.
But if Andretti buying the team and it becoming Andretti Motorsport brings that team to a better level, like I can't remember who said it. It might have been The Race. They were saying that Sauber actually has the best wind tunnel out of all the F1 teams.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got the facilities, but obviously they're not allowed the time to do it or whatever. But I think a cash injection from Andretti Motorsport and the dedication to motorsport from Andretti Motorsport would certainly do wonders for that team. And I think it would actually get it up the...
Is that Sauber's main issue, funding? Are they looking for funding, or are they just looking for another set of experienced hands to hand it off to?
Well, see, the thing is, the Alfa Romeo branding is because Alfa Romeo are the sponsor. Alfa Romeo doesn't own the team. It still is Sauber F1.
Yeah.
So I think it's a case of trying to get more money.
Yeah. I mean, and good backing.
Yeah.
Andretti Motorsport's massive in America.
And I think by Andretti Motorsport joining F1, it's going to provide... It's going to increase the interest in F1 in America.
You know what it will provide? A platform for IndyCar drivers to make the jump.
Yes.
So, I mean, that bridge between Formula One and IndyCar through Andretti Motorsport. You know, that's even more talent into the pool.
That's right.
Add into the fact that there's possibly new teams and new manufacturers coming in 2026, was it?
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows? Like, the potentials are endless. Really.
And so Honda also announced this week that next year, though the Red Bull and AlphaTauri cars are not going to be running, Honda badged engines. They're going to be Red Bull performance trains.
Mm-hmm.
Honda is still going to back them up with replacement parts and stuff like that, new parts and things like that.
They were buying the intellectual property for them, weren't they?
Yeah.
And then all their team was just getting incorporated. Was that the story?
Well, a lot of the technical people from Honda who've worked on the F1 project are actually moving over to Red Bull powertrains.
That's good. I like that. You know, you've scratched our back for this long.
Yeah.
And we'll scratch yours, and hence why that white and red livery was, because Istanbul was actually supposed to be Suzuka originally.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be Red Bull's farewell to the Japanese manufacturer in Japan, but because of the pandemic, obviously,
I have a theory, though.
Mm.
I have a theory based on the fact that Honda is very erratic. They pulled out of F1, and then like 3 years, 5 years later, they're back in F1.
Yeah.
I reckon in 2026 they're going to rejoin.
As a factory team, it'd be fucking cool.
As a factory team, yeah. Or rejoin as...
A supplier?
Yeah, Red Bull's supplier again.
Yeah, why not? It'd be cool. Like, they want to be seen at the top echelon of motorsport. Like, I don't think they have a Le Mans team.
No.
But, you know, Toyota and all they do. So
Well,
but they want their name out there. They'll still want their name out there.
Honda provides engines for IndyCar.
IndyCar, yeah. Yep.
Because it's IndyCar and Chevrolet.
Yeah.
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 So, I think they'd come back. Particularly once... Because they are ditching the MGU-H.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, even if they wanted to come back, all those people that are working for Red Bull powertrains, you know, would at least be able to offer technical advice to Honda themselves if they wanted to come back.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't be walking in on a blank slate. They'd at least hit the ground running a little bit in that regard.
Yeah.
So I think the door's open. The door's open for Honda. The door's open for Audi and Porsche and Toyota and BMW. And I hope they take it up because I want to see like a 30-car grid.
Yeah.
You know, honestly. I think the maximum we can get is 24 though, isn't it?
Yes.
I'm sure, you know what? I'm sure the FIA would change the rules.
I think...
Unfortunately though, 30 cars on a fucking Monaco you'd just want to hang yourself from the nearest tree.
I think it's more the track limitations on cars.
And Austria. Yeah, there's a few actually really short tracks that probably wouldn't work.
I think Austria...
Unless you go back to like the 80s style and you have pre-qualifying.
Yeah. I think Austria would be fine. I think Spa would be an issue. Because of the start-finish line.
Yeah, half the drivers would be starting around the chicane.
That's how they used to do it.
Unless you take the start line back to the old spot, running up to Eau Rouge.
Yeah.
You could do that, but no, I mean, I'm sure even 26 cars.
Yeah.
I mean, if the market was there, the FIA would expand to incorporate that, I think.
Yeah.
I think they'd be dumb not to.
Yeah. Right, now, here we come to the big question. So we've got up the front a battle between Red Bull and Mercedes for the drivers and constructors championships. And then beneath them, we'll call it, I don't know, Class B, is McLaren and Ferrari fighting tooth and nail for, third place on the podium. I'm not going to worry about the other 6 teams because it's not really that close a fight.
With all due respect, they're making up numbers.
Yeah. So my question to you, JB, is what does Red Bull need to do in order to win the Constructors and Drivers' Championships?
Exactly what they just did. They need consistency from Sergio Perez.
Yeah.
They've got a car, I think, and now with only 6 races to go, I think every car's reached its ceiling in terms of upgrades. You know, we just saw the Ferrari power unit upgrade. McLaren, I think, has had theirs now. So in terms of, like, actually substantial upgrades on any cars from here on in, it's probably not going to happen. Red Bull need consistency. They're good on low-speed circuits. They're good in low-speed corners. And, I don't think Max has particularly enjoyed the last couple of races. I think he's left a bit on the table, and I think he'll admit that as well. Like, they were properly outgunned by Mercedes in Istanbul. But, yeah, I think with a bit more consistency from Sergio Perez, if that's how they want to win the... that's how they'll have to win the Constructors. For drivers, Max just needs to keep Lewis behind him. It's pretty simple.
Well, what do you think are the strengths of Red Bull?
Aerodynamics. They've always been aerodynamically great. I think the Honda power unit is probably the best Honda power unit we've ever seen. I'm not 100% sure they still have the power edge over the Mercedes now.
No, Mercedes is...
I think Mercedes has taken it back.
Yeah, they're about 15 kilometre an hour faster than the Honda now.
Yeah, so the HPP guys in Germany, or wherever Mercedes are from now, where are they based? They're in England, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway.
Brackley.
Yeah, Brackley. So the boys in Brackley at HPP.
And the amazing fans.
Yep. Have obviously found it a bit more grunt for that Mercedes donkey. But so Red Bull's just going to have to stick to its strength, low speed corners, and Max is just going to have to balls to the wall on qualifying and try and get ahead of them. I think Max will go a long way to winning the Drivers' Championship on Saturday and then capitalising it on Sunday.
What do you think Red Bull's weaknesses are?
Straight line speed.
Yeah.
Straight line speed, and Sergio Perez isn't as consistent a teammate as he needs to be.
Yeah.
At times. I mean, he's showing flashes, but he's been really up and down. Like, his last few races were terrible.
When he's good, he's good.
When he's good, yeah. And I don't know if it's a strategy thing or what, but he proved in Istanbul that he can be a good teammate if given the opportunity. But he'll need to find that consistency to help Max out.
I think Sergio Perez needs to get his Saturdays better.
Yeah, I think he's struggling in qualifying.
That's the key for it. Once he gets his Saturdays right, he can be good on a Sunday.
That's it. So I guess the key to Red Bull, get Saturday right and capitalise on it on Sunday.
What does Mercedes have to do to win the Drivers' and Constructors' Championship?
They need to take advantage of what they can take advantage of. There's a lot of high-speed tracks still coming up. That Jeddah track's quick. They're going to Austin, which Lewis loves. Austin's the next race on the cards. And try and get Valtteri to play the team game, and he obviously did that in Istanbul. Try and get Valtteri to get ahead of Max and make life difficult in the same way that Sergio Perez is going to be tasked of getting ahead of Valtteri and trying to make his life difficult.
What are Mercedes' strengths?
Straight line speed and good strategy. I mean, they're the well-oiled machine. They're the Goliath. They've been the best team in Formula One for almost a decade now. So,
and I think Bottas has been more consistent.
I think Bottas has found a lot more form ever since he announced he was going Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, he doesn't have that cloud over him.
Yeah, he still plays the team game when he has to. So he's he's the key to the puzzle, I think. But I don't think, you're not going to get Valtteri driving into Lewis or whatever. You're not going to get an Alonso Hamilton situation. I think Mercedes just need to do what they do. They're the Goliath. They're the well-oiled machine.
What do you think Mercedes' weaknesses are?
They don't like being stuck in traffic. If you can get cars ahead of them, they don't like it.
Apparently, there's an issue with Mercedes power units as well, is that they're not as reliable.
Well, we haven't seen any failures yet, but that's probably why they had to resort to changing power units early as well. You don't usually see Hamilton taking 10-place grid penalties for power unit changes. At least you haven't in the last couple of years. So you might be right. There might be some power unit issues. The cars always hated being stuck in traffic, which is why they're a lead from the front team. And I don't know. Max has a good way of getting into Lewis's head as well, one-on-one.
I think the other disadvantage that Mercedes has is that Lewis has cracked under the pressure a couple of times this season.
He has.
And also, Hamilton's got to trust his team. As, you know, as the difference between Sochi and Turkey. Sochi, he trusted his team. They said, come on in, put Inters on. And he did, and he won the race.
Yeah.
Turkey, he ignored it. And I think he would have gotten higher than 5th. He would have been fighting for a podium if he'd come in when the team said.
He would have at least tried. Or he would have at least been in a position to defend. Which was the difference, yeah.
Okay. What does McLaren have to do in order to win the Group B or Class B fight?
They need to sort out Ricciardo's fucking balance issues, which I thought were gone but have come back at certain tracks. He didn't like Zandvoort, he didn't like Istanbul. I think they need to get Saturday right, because Daniel Ricciardo being eliminated in Q1 is fucking unacceptable when you're trying to fight for P3 in the championship. Because all it's done now, even though Norris finished ahead of Sainz, he didn't finish ahead of Leclerc. And, you know, there's more points on the table. Like, the last couple of races, McLaren have left points on the table. Lando should have won Sochi.
Yeah.
And didn't. And ultimately wound up finishing behind the Ferraris. Both of them or one of them, I can't remember. I think it was both of them. That McLaren keep leaving the last couple of races, especially, they've left money on the table. They can't afford to do that. Danny Rick's got to get his Saturdays right. Lando Norris just has to use his talent and take as much as he can out of the Ferraris at the tracks where the McLaren's going to have the advantage.
What do you think positives of McLaren are?
The power unit's phenomenal now. They're great in a straight line.
And that aero package they've got is pretty stellar as well.
It's coming on certain tracks, though. The problem is they can't get the car to perform the way it did in Monza or the way it did in Sochi at tracks like Zandvoort or Istanbul. That, you know, there's tracks that still don't suit this car, which is amazing to think that Mercedes and Red Bull are up the front every time on every track because they've got a car that can master anything. I don't think the McLaren's quite as adaptable as those two, and that's what they need to get to. That car's not quite as adaptable in race-to-race, condition-to-condition scenarios, and that's their biggest hurdle at the moment.
So you would say that the aero package is their biggest weakness?
I would say it can be a weakness and it can be a strength, I think. Yeah, I think it's a double-edged sword.
And I think Daniel Ricciardo's real inconsistency is the biggest hindrance of that team.
Yeah, but Daniel Ricciardo reflects the car. Every time Ricciardo's had a good race, Lando Norris has had a better race. Ricciardo won Monza, Norris was second. Norris should have won Sochi. Ricciardo was fourth, I think.
Yeah.
Like, the tracks that suit the car, what Ricciardo does reflects what the car does. If Ricciardo's had a shit race, odds are Lando's in the bottom half of the top 10. And he is. And he is. So, yeah, McLaren, Danny Rick very much reflects what that car does.
And Ferrari, what do you think Ferrari has to do in order to win Group B?
Keep doing what they're doing. Keep doing what they're doing. Charles Leclerc's driving the wheels off it. Carlos Sainz is in vintage form. He's in purple form. This is the best form of his career.
Yeah.
Bar none. Carlos Sainz will lead you to third place if they so get there. Because he is in the best form of his career right now. And they've just got their new power unit sorted. So watch out for him in Austin. Charles Leclerc's obviously found some confidence and some form again, finishing fourth. Yeah, whatever that car did, they've turned the corner.
What do you think their positives are?
I think the aero package is pretty good.
Yeah.
I think they're pretty good. And the power unit obviously seems to be all right in a straight line. So I think they've got a good all-round car at the moment. You know, not on the level of a Red Bull or a Mercedes, but I think it's a better overall package than the McLaren. I think it's more adaptable than the McLaren.
I think the biggest asset that Ferrari has is their two drivers. They are super consistent.
Yeah, Carlos Sainz, like I said, he's in career best form.
You know, and if Sainz is down the batting order, Leclerc is up the front.
Yeah, and Carlos Sainz was down the batting order and still got to 8th.
Yeah.
He started 19th or almost last and got to 8th, and Leclerc was 4th. He was almost on the podium.
I think
he led the race at one point. Like, he's got the form as well.
And like this year's power unit is such a night and day compared to last year's power unit.
Yeah.
It's so much better than last year's power unit. I think the aero is still a little bit sketchy, but it's a very much an improved car. But their greatest strength is their two drivers.
Yeah, is the consistency of their drivers. I think they're, you know, besides Hamilton and Bottas, I think they might be the best driver pairing on the grid.
I think they are.
In terms of pure form, I think they're the two best drivers on the grid.
I think they're the most consistent two drivers on the grid.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think Ferrari's weakness is?
I think their only weakness is they can still be outgunned in a straight line.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Like, that Ferrari power unit is the third fastest out of the four manufacturers.
Yep.
It's faster than the Alpine, but the other two engine manufacturers are, I don't want to say leagues ahead, but you know, there's significant
But they're tried and
advantage.
tested as well. That Mercedes engine's been on fire for a long time.
I think Ferrari's biggest weakness is their pit stops, because they've had very inconsistent pit
let's
stops.
not forget Carlos Sainz had like a 13-second stop, and had he not had that 13-second stop, he could have been ahead of Hamilton. He could have had 4th and 5th there.
Yeah,
Sainz could have probably even been ahead of Leclerc. It could have been Sainz from Leclerc.
so
Yeah.
I think once they fix that problem, once they iron out that issue,
Did you notice pit stops didn't become an issue until they changed the rules?
yeah,
How many more mistakes are being made now because pit stops have to slow down?
yeah, particularly Red Bull.
They're not doing it off instinct anymore. Yeah, I've seen Red Bull made a few bad ones. Ferrari's made some bad ones. Daniel Ricciardo's one in Sochi cost him a few places, I reckon.
I don't know why they changed the pit stops though.
It's to make them safer, but what they've done is make them more botchy because you're not doing it off instinct. Like, you react so fast in a pit stop to change 4 tyres in 1.9 seconds that you have to instinctively slow your body down to what you've trained years to be doing. You know, halfway through this year, you know, the pit stop guys were training to do 1.8 second stops until Spa when they changed the rules.
Well, do you think that the FIA purposely did that to peg Red Bull back?
No, because Williams were faster. Williams are the king of the pit stop.
Yeah.
I mean, Williams are the king of consistent pit stops. I think Red Bull still hold the record at 1.89 seconds, but
Yeah. Yeah, they hold the record this year for the fastest
and
pit
probably
stop.
forever if they're not going to change the rule.
No, I mean, like, for this season,
Oh, right.
they hold the fastest pit stop. They
Yeah.
hold the 6 fastest pit stops.
Yeah, like, maybe. I don't think so.
Yeah.
But there wasn't any pit lane incidents this year that, like, led to that rule being changed, was there? I don't remember anything. No one got hit by wheels. No one exploded in Fireball.
No, there was no unsafe releases.
There were some unsafe releases, but they fucking got penalised promptly.
But they weren't Red Bull.
No, I just don't know why they've changed the rule across the board.
It sort of makes it really look like they have purposely pegged back Red Bull.
Potentially, yeah.
Okay. My final question, I didn't write this one down. Do you think Michael Massey is doing a good enough job as the race official,
There's been some questionable calls this year, I'll be honest.
particularly at Istanbul? Like Gasly,
Yeah, Gasly's
I don't
bump
think
off.
I don't think Gasly really did deserve that 5-second penalty.
Blaming Max for the crash at Monza. I think that was bullshit. Fuck, fuck, there's been a couple others we've talked about back over the season. They escape me now as the painkillers are starting to wear off. It's hard. But he's got a team with him.
Yeah.
Like, there's a team of people up there making calls. It's not him personally making calls.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of touch and go calls that could have been made better. I think, although they haven't been race defining, there's been some bad calls this year. I think maybe he needs to look a little bit at his own performance, possibly. But I mean, we as fans can sit here and it's like watching the football. You can sit there and debate if it's a fucking strip or a penalty all day of the week. But
yeah, you can sit there and say the bunker's shit or whatever.
you can sit there and say the Panthers trainer shouldn't be on the field.
But it's easy for us to comment about it because we're sitting on a couch or laying in a
Exactly.
bed
When
watching
you've
it
got
on TV.
You've got to make a call. And don't forget, you've got the teams radioing you directly, offering their sides of the argument while you're trying to make the call.
That's why I think Kimi Räikkönen would be good as a race official. Because, Michael Massey is polite to them. Like, Toto gets on the radio and is like, Michael, I've sent you an email, da-da-da-da-da, with the data, rah-rah-rah-rah.
Yeah.
And he says, well, I can't check the email because I've got to pay attention to the race, but, it's duly noted.
Yeah.
Kimi Räikkönen
Yeah,
would just say...
that's him personally, though. The email will be checked by his delegates.
Yeah. Whereas Kimi Räikkönen would say, that's great, fuck off, I'm watching this race.
That's great, fuck off, I need to find the popcorn.
Okay. Or if it was...
I'm surprised Mika Hakkinen isn't up there.
Or Jacques Villeneuve.
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't got people like that up there over, like ex-Formula One drivers that know what it's like to be in the car when a racing incident occurs.
And I mean, that's why, like, Kimi Räikkönen, Mika Hakkinen, Coulthard.
Yeah.
He does commentary, though.
Yeah, it's true.
But, Hakkinen...
Even Rosberg,
Räikkönen.
but I'm pretty sure he's employed by Sky Sports now.
Yeah,
Not that I rate him
I kind
as a
of
commentator.
want Nico Rosberg to piss off.
Yeah.
He's starting to annoy
Although
me.
he has gone. I haven't seen him the last couple of races. They brought Jenson Button in, which
Yeah.
was a market improvement.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I think you need someone up there that's been there and done that
Yeah.
to make those sorts of calls.
Or a Mark Webber. I mean, I know he does commentary for BBC.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Michael Massey has done a good job. There's been some questionable shit though.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a subjective question.
Yeah.
It's like saying, should Grant Atkins have refereed the NRL Grand Final after his season performance? It's like, you can argue for, you can argue against. I think the call at Istanbul was shit, and I think the call at Monza was shit. And there was another one that we argued, but I can't remember it now.
The one call that I think should have been made that wasn't made was at Silverstone when Lewis Hamilton was doing his big theatrics after the race and driving all around the race and everything. I think he should have gotten a reprimand at least for that because that was...
I didn't see it, I'll be honest. I think I was asleep. I didn't actually see footage of what he did.
He drove off the track.
I did hear comments about it, and if it's enough to raise the ire of commentators and fans, then it's enough to maybe warrant a quiet word.
But, I mean, when it's kind of like the Monza crash between Hamilton and Verstappen, where, and I trust his word more than anyone, is Martin Brundle.
Yeah.
And when he said that was 100% Hamilton's fault, not because I'm biased against Hamilton, but you look at it and you're just like, it's easy to sit there and go,
Martin
he's
Brundle
right.
would be good up there. He hasn't been on commentary for a while. What's he doing? I think he was at a race event because him and Zach Brown were teammates at some like GT4 event.
Yeah, also, I think there's some countries he doesn't go to because of his health.
Yeah, right. No,
Not that he's dying, but I think he had a heart issue or something.
right.
That's why he doesn't go to Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a bit thin there.
The thin air, yep. No, Martin Brundle would be great. I think Martin Brundle would be, if you wanted to replace Michael Massey.
Or
And
Damon Hill.
And Martin Brundle didn't want to do commentary anymore.
Damon Hill would be spot on.
He probably doesn't want the work. Yeah, Damon Hill will be all right. He does. He hangs around the paddock a lot.
Well, I mean, Damon Hill Damon Hill has had, and Jacques Villeneuve have both had experience with Michael Schumacher.
Not particularly good ones, but we've had experience with Michael Schumacher.
Well, on the doco Schumacher, which is on Netflix, and I do actually recommend you go and watch it. They actually break down the crash at Adelaide,
I'm probably going to have to watch it.
and
I have time now.
Damon Hill actually says, like, you know, he pulled over. I didn't realise he actually had a problem, and he turned onto me because there was a gap there, but the gap was closing, but he turned onto me.
Yeah.
He says, would I have made the same decision in a car that had just bumped the wall? Probably not,
Yeah.
you know. But
Where
then,
do you think he learned that aggression off, though? Ayrton Senna.
yeah.
Yeah, he's not the only driver to drive like
And
that.
they actually break down the Senna Schumacher crash.
Yeah.
And watching the footage of it, all I can think was that was Senna really getting a taste of his own medicine, because Senna was renowned for putting a car into a gap, and you were the one who decided the fate of the outcome.
That's what we see with Max Verstappen now.
That's what I like about Max
That's
Verstappen.
what I love. That's why I love watching Max Verstappen drive, because he reminds me of that.
You know, Hamilton has got that driver's style of the 2000s where you've got to leave a gap and you've got to do this and you've got to do that.
You leave a gap and then you start squeezing them at the end. Max just doesn't leave a gap at all.
Yeah.
He's just like, oh, that's mine, and if you want to move there, we're going to die.
Yeah, he puts
So-
the fate of the encounter
On you.
on you. He is a 90s driver.
His car is exactly where he needs it to be. It's up to you if you want to put it there.
Yeah, that's right. As, you know, Monza showed.
Yep.
Unless you work for the FIA, then you're blind as a bat.
Argue it until we blue in the face, mate.
Yeah, it's too late, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, well, this season really is hotting up. Like, it's not even hotting up. It is red hot right now. The only thing that can happen is it gets white hot.
It's Verstappen versus Hamilton all the way to the flag, mate. It's going to be good.
So, we're going to go on to the driver standings after the Turkish Grand Prix.
Mm-hmm.
So Max Verstappen is leading the championship again with 262.5 points. Lewis Hamilton is in second with 256.5 points. Valtteri Bottas is in third place with 177 points. Lando Norris is in fourth with 145 points. Sergio Perez is in fifth with 135 points. Oh, this is a tight battle. Carlos Sainz is in sixth with 116.5 points. And Charles Leclerc is in seventh with 116 points.
To the wire.
Only 0.5 of a point between the teams. Daniel Ricciardo is in 8th with 95 points. Pierre Gasly is in 9th with 74 points. And Fernando Alonso rounds out the top 10 with 58 points. And the team standings, Mercedes is in front on the constructors with 433.5 points. Red Bull is about 36 points behind on 397.5 points. McLaren is third with 240 points. Nipping at their heels is Ferrari with 232.5 points.
That gap's starting to close.
That's getting real tight.
After Monza, it looked like McLaren was like going to kick away, but it's closing right back up again.
Alpine is in fifth with 104 points. AlphaTauri is in sixth with 92 points. Aston Martin is in seventh with 61 points. Williams is in eighth with 23 points. Alfa Romeo is in ninth with 7, and Haas has got absolutely fuck all.
And it will stay that way.
I swear.
Unless a meteor hits the grid in Austin and 11 cars are wiped out. The first 11 cars.
Sorry, you just reminded me of the song Greg the Stop Sign by Tism.
Good song.
I think he says a comet's going to wipe out all trace of man. I'm banking on it coming before my end of year exams.
That's what Haas is banking on to get points this year.
Now, call me crazy, but earlier in the year, wasn't Aston Martin in fifth and Alpine in...
Aston Martin has had a
seventh?
fall from grace like you would not believe. I asked you, are you surprised that Aston Martin are this shit? And you said no. Because it's not a pink Mercedes. But I am surprised that they are this shit because they still had all those resources.
Yeah.
And Sebastian Vettel. And Lance Stroll isn't that bad of a driver.
Yeah.
But Sebastian Vettel's proven me very wrong.
He's very hit and miss.
Sebastian Vettel's had some fucking shockers this year.
I think he's very much like Daniel Ricciardo. When he's on, he's on.
He's got the Ferrari carryover.
But when he's off,
He's fucking atrocious.
he stinks
He
up
is
the joint.
Nothing like the 4-time world champion he once was.
No,
Not even close.
I think this has to be Vettel's last contract.
He has... Yeah. Because we were saying the same thing about fucking Fernando Alonso, but Alonso's driving rings around him.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe how bad Seb is. At points. But he was on the podium this year, wasn't he? Wasn't he on the podium in Baku or something?
Vettel was, but then he got disqualified. That was that's Kiki.
That's Kiki. Yeah, no, he was on the podium. Like, so, he was fast enough to be on the podium. And there's the guy that finished 18th because he decided to put slick tyres on in the fucking rain. Like...
That's right, no. He... my dog is going ballistic. It's that damn possum, I swear. Vettel got second at... Oh, God, what was the track? He got second on a race. Hungary. He got second at Hungary, and then he was disqualified because they couldn't get enough petrol out of the fuel tank.
Yeah, he only had 0.3 of a litre. That's right.
Yeah.
So he's had some bad luck too, I guess.
Yeah.
But he's had some good form, and then he's just been fucking terrible.
Yeah.
If it's not Kimi Raikkonen, or it's not, like, Nikita Mazepin, is Sebastian Vettel, like, the most unhappy driver on the grid right now?
I'd say so.
I'd say easily so. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway.
So, in 2 weeks is the...
Grand Prix of the Americas.
Yeah, from Circuit of the Americas from Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas. Yeah, but that motherfucker's going to be on at 2 in the morning.
True.
Because American time is shit for everything.
Yep.
So we will not be watching it live.
No, but we...
We'll catch the replay. Thank you, KO Sports.
Thank you, Foxtel. So, thank you for tuning in. And we will, on behalf... try that in English. On behalf of myself, my broadcast colleague JB, we thank you for tuning in. We thank you for your support. Smash that like button and all the other stuff that...
Smash that like button like a door you don't like. I'm going to go home and contemplate my life. Decisions.
John fractured his finger punching a door today.
I'm glad the public now knows that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's all right. Doing you a public service.
Mm.
We'll look back this in a couple of years and just go,
What the hell?
Why did you do that?
It's not my first rodeo, I guess.
So,
alright, I'm done. My painkillers are going to run out soon.
oh, well, thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you next time. On behalf of myself and JB, it is goodbye.